Oh yeah, it's the weekend, and you know what that means. It's time for Pixels and Bits on the Overshield.com with your hosts, Corey, Manny, and Tommy. And now, broadcasting from planet Earth, it's time for Pixels and Bits. Welcome to Pixels and Bits on the Overshield.com. My name is Corey. Hi. Welcome to episode 49 of Pixels and Bits. I am joined by my co-hosts, Manny and Tommy. Say hi, guys.
Hello, Internet.
What's up, everyone?
And today, we are joined by the one, the only, Sean Hinz from ScrewAttack.com.
What's going on, Internet?
Fun fact about Sean, when he was born, he was bottle-fed with whiskey. He was taming tigers in Sri Lanka when he was 4. He was the life coach for The Most Interesting Man in the World. He was originally cast to be the lead for Top Gun, but then had to leave for astronaut training.
All of that is true.
This is all from Sean's cover letter.
Except the Top Gun part.
Check out his
I got
wiki
it wrong.
page.
I was originally supposed to direct, not star.
Ah, that's right. And then, oh yeah, you got your first supermodel girlfriend at like the age of 2 or 3, and then you saved her from what was it, a banana boat ride or something, and that's how you got your beard?
A freak Bananarama concert.
Ah, okay. Yes. Anyways, Sean Hinz in all his glory and greatness. You guys ready to jump in the news desk?
Yep.
Do it.
All right, let's do this. Hit the music. God, that's awful. But I loved it. Anyways, for the news desk, we got quite a bit. First, some announcements. 2K is hosting a contest for Borderlands known as the $100,000 Loot Hunt. Just to celebrate the release of the Borderlands 2 Game of the Year Edition, which I'm a little pissed that they're releasing that right now after I just bought Borderlands 2 for $10. So starting on October 11th, all you have to do is play the game and complete daily and weekly challenges that will be set by Gearbox. And you can win PlayStation Vitas, Turtle Beach headsets, an NVIDIA Shield, the Borderlands 2 Game of the Year Strategy Guide, a lifetime Steam key to the 2K games library. So basically you get every 2K game ever for the rest of your life.
Man, I gotta get me one of those.
Huh?
I gotta get me one of those. A
That'd be
lifetime
great.
Steam key for 2K.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be, I would take that over the Vita.
Yeah. I love Vitas.
And then there's a grand prize of $50,000, or as Claptrap put it, a grand prize of 50 mother bleeping dollars. That's actually, the word bleep is in the quote, so I don't know what to say. Another quick little thing is regarding Watch Dogs. It will come on 2 discs. This is for the PS3. Not the PS3, Xbox 360 version. This has only been confirmed on Xbox 360. No word on Wii U, PS3, or whatnot. But there is an install disc, so it's going to be very much like the system with Grand Theft Auto 5 for those who are wanting. So, if you're wanting to get Watch Dogs for 360, clear some space on your hard drive. And then Valve released the specs for the Steam machine, which I am very interested in. I bet you are too, Manny, since you're a techie. Alright, so the prototype models will be running the following specs on SteamOS. Some will run the NVIDIA Titans, some with GTX 780s, some with GTX 760s, and some with GTX 660s. Some will run Intel i7 4770s, some with i5 4570s, and some with i3 processors. And then there's versions with 16 gigabytes of RAM and 3 gigabytes of RAM. Then there's some with 1 terabytes of storage with 8 gigabytes of solid state, internal power supply of 450 watts, and the thing is literally a 1-foot cube. Honestly, that does sound a little appealing, especially if I got an i7 and a Titan in there.
So it's a tricked out GameCube.
It is.
Yeah, really.
I don't know if it has a better controller than the GameCube, though. I have yet to determine what that thing is.
Has anybody seen the meme where it's regarding the haptic feedback? Where it's like instead of like the 2 trackpads, it's 2 portals that you put your thumbs through.
No.
And your thumbs go to Gabe Newell. I don't know. I'm actually interested in the Steam Machine because I don't know. I'm looking for I want to build like a big tower desktop or whatever. You know what? Like splurge on that. But something tells me since I already use my laptop as a desktop replacement, that would be kind of impractical. And so I just rather have something like a PC that I can hook into my living room TV. Which is kind of the whole purpose of the Steam Machine. Well, I mean, would anybody here actually be willing to get a Steam Machine?
I don't know. I do mostly video editing, not really gaming on it.
Unless it's Final Fantasy XIV.
And even then, that'll be like on a console, sadly.
So, I mean, what about you, Sean and Tommy?
I mean, I feel a little too cheap probably for a Steam machine. I mean, I've been building computers for a while, so like I'm interested in Steam OS and putting something together for the living room that will be able to just stream video and use the whole remote play thing, but I can do that for like $300 instead of $1,000.
Though something tells me that there isn't just going to be one Steam machine, of course. Since it said the following prototype models, which means that they're probably going to have a bunch of entry versions. My guess is that they'll have one where it's like, hey, you can get one for like $200, and then there's the one that's like $1,000, and there's just kind of like the mid-range ones in between, which I think is a very interesting approach. Because that means that they're going to kind of give their console competitors a little bit of run for their money in terms of value.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. But I still wonder, like, how interested people will be that, you know, have access to those cheaper parts. Because they do say it's modular, but, like, I wonder what the chips look like that are in there to keep them so small to fit in that little box, you know?
They use atom-sized motherboards.
Yeah, seriously. Like, I don't know.
Oh, and speaking of Valve, remember how everybody was freaking out because the European trademark for Half-Life 3? And everybody's like, oh my god, this confirms it. Which I think is stupid to even say that because a trademark doesn't really assure anything. It just means that they're wanting to hold on to the name. Well, the European trademark filing for Half-Life 3 has vanished. It is gone. It appeared on October 1st. It was allegedly filed by Valve, and it just kind of disappeared. Nobody knows what happened. Interesting? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean they said it was basically really easy to file that. So, like, you or I could really file a trademark like that, apparently.
I'm going to go file a trademark for Grand Theft Auto 8 and see what happens.
Wasn't there a story like a few months ago that a person had a trademark of the WiiU.com or something like that? Or
Yeah. Someone owned WiiU.com, but the weird thing is that they bought that in 2004. Which...
They must have ESP.
He must have a kick-ass crystal ball. But, I don't know. I've run out of things to say for this story, so we're going to move on to the next one, which is a little... Okay, this sounds like the dumbest thing I've read all week. Mad Catz is making a console. The guys who make the shittiest controllers in the world are making a console.
And accessories.
Oh my god. I don't know. The console is a micro-sized Android console like the Ouya, and it's called Mojo. And it is...
Get your Mojo on.
There you go. There's the marketing campaign right there.
I'm just gonna be quoting Austin Powers, and I'm just looking for my mojo.
Yeah.
I can't live without my mojo. But it's they're accepting pre-orders for $250. I'm sorry, that's a little much for a micro console. I could go buy a Wii U for that.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, it's a pretty hard sell.
That is a really hard sell. The controller for it has its own name. It's called Controller.
It's an acronym. It's the worst thing ever.
It's spelled it's CTRLR.
Oh.
Hey guys, if we shorten it down, it'll make us look cool.
Well, it's like it's their products line because they also do like the rat mouse and something else. Like everything is an acronym. Even the Mojo is an acronym. I don't know why.
What's weird is that this is coming out in 2 months.
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay, that's too fast.
Exactly 2 months. Like I said, if I was gonna buy a micro-sized console, I would buy an Ouya. Why? Because it's $150 cheaper. And I'm not gonna expect much of Android games to begin with to plunk down $250. I mean, yes, it has some. I'm looking at the hardware. It's a little impressive. It has a Tegra 4 processor, 16 gigabytes of internal memory, and it has expansions, and it has a micro SD expansion slot. The Tegra 4 processor caught my eye more than anything, but still, $250. I don't know how. Like you think when you think Mad Catz, you think cheap. All across the board, cheap, but cheap. So I think it's safe to say that this is dead on arrival. And speaking of dead consoles, who here is familiar with the Neo Geo X?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, who isn't?
Oh, I really wanted one. I couldn't plunk down the money for it. But unfortunately, you cannot buy one anymore. They have ceased production and sale of the Neo Geo X. SNK Playmore has posted a termination of license agreement. Termination notice, whatever. Basically, they said, "Hey, if you got Neo Geo X's, you can't sell them," which is kind of a big fuck you to retailers who are still sitting on these. I mean,
well, and I think Tomo came out and said they're the company that is actually doing the manufacturing, I think, on the retail side. Yeah. And they're like, fuck you. We're still selling them.
Well, apparently Amazon's still selling them, so Amazon's saying fuck you to SNK.
Yeah, well, I think Tomo is the one who really controls some of that, or at least a controlling interest of it, so they're going to go probably have a big legal battle.
Oh,
because SNK wants out or whatever, and Tomo's like, nah, we got all these units, man.
We gotta sell these.
Just mark them down. See, they screwed up because they didn't put Windjammers on there, and since I own a Neo Geo is because of Windjammers. So,
well, that and it didn't help the fact that the games you had was really all the games you got was really what you had. That was kind of really it.
Yeah,
you could buy like these mega pack carts, but there was only a couple of them. Right. So really, you didn't have a variety of games. But that's kind of the point of the Neo Geo X. It's kind of a nostalgia console.
Well, it just has all these great arcade games that you can't really play on anything else. Maybe Virtual Console.
Unless your name is Nathan.
Yeah.
Who like doesn't he have like a modded Neo Geo where it has like all the SNK games?
Well, he has a cab at his place, but I mean, they make these master carts that have like 141 games on them.
Yeah.
I don't know if he has one though. He probably does. I would suspect. I'm actually thinking about getting one for mine because I got Metal Slug and Windjammers right now, but to have like all the Art of Fighting and King of Fighters and that would be great. So
yeah. I mean, I'm kind of sad to see it go because I actually got to fiddle around with one and I thought it was really, really cool. So, I don't know. Since there is a termination notice, it means that, who knows, maybe for the next couple of weeks, retailers might sell them really cheap just to get rid of them.
Black Friday.
Black Friday. So, then again, I'm not willing to get up at 5 in the morning. Screw that.
Well, maybe Cyber Monday then, like,
Yeah, man.
you just have to wake up on the internet, which is a whole lot easier than going somewhere.
It's like on Black Friday you have to get up, put on your clothes, go drive. Cyber Monday, get up. You don't have to put on your clothes, sit at your computer. Anyways, I'm just gonna move to the next story. That was a horrible transition. This is another THQ story. I never thought I would see another one. I mean, I miss THQ dearly. I love them as a company and everything. It killed me to see them make some of the dumb decisions they made, like U-Draw. Just U-Draw in general. That's just what's everything. But they're saying that EA had considered a buyout for THQ roughly a year before their bankruptcy. So EA contacted THQ several times, wanting to know all the details of THQ's finances and their intellectual properties. So THQ had meetings with EA and everything, provided a lot of sensitive documents under the guise that EA was going to buy them out. Instead, after a bunch of high-level meetings, THQ was told by EA that they don't want to buy THQ and they just want to buy the UFC license. So THQ would end up selling the license to EA for about, what was it, 10 million?
Yeah, it sounds right.
Yeah, about 10 million. So, quote unquote, those discussions came about after THQ began exploring strategic alternatives, including a sale of the entire company to a private equity or industry partner as the defunct publisher's financial position continued to decline. The document says THQ allegedly approached Electronic Arts for the sale based on EA's interest in acquiring the UFC license. At their meetings, THQ provided EA with internal and financial information, including sales data and marketing projections for the company's UFC video game. The complaint reads, after a high-level meeting and several discussions, EA broke off negotiations, professing disinterest. So THQ is now filing a lawsuit against EA, saying that EA colluded, is the word that's provided, with Zuffa, who is the guy who paid the $10 million. Basically, that they committed fraud against THQ in order to get this UFC license away from THQ as cheaply as possible. So basically, THQ is pissed that EA. What's the best way to put this? Basically, let's say you own a $5 item, and the kid on the schoolyard comes up to you and says, "Hey, I want to buy that," and you're like, "Well, I don't know. I kind of want to sell for $5." And the kid's like, "Well, I'll give you two." It's just like, "Well, how about you sell it to me for $250?" And you're forced to sell it to that kid for $250, and you lose money. That's what THQ is kind of claiming. That basically EA swindled them out of some money because UFC was worth a lot more. I have no idea how far this is going to go because it just sounds. I'm not going to lie. I'm not siding with anybody, but it just sounds like THQ is just like. It's just like, well, we get cheated because it's business. I mean, Sean. I assume you've seen this story, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, I guess my first question would be: is who the fuck is THQ? Because at this point, like, all I can think is that it's a bunch of board members. You know that
there's nothing left. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's investors that feel like they were shorted. You know, money. For multiple reasons. I mean, these are probably the same investors that tried to block THQ's like, because THQ was going to try and like bulk sale to like a private equity corp or something like that.
Yeah, I remember the talks about that, and then it just
And it,
never happened.
well, it ended up falling apart, and part of the reason was because those guys didn't want it to happen because they didn't think they were going to get enough money. But then in the end, everything was sold piecemeal, so it's like they certainly made less money, I think.
Oh no, they made a
overall,
lot less money.
So it's kind of a bad decision in the end. But
I mean, wasn't Darksiders sold off for like under $1 million?
yeah, well, like what ended up happening was Darksiders didn't even make the initial sale. Like when they sold all the IPs and assets, that as a lot never got sold.
That, Destroy All Humans, and what was it? What was the one that Gearbox purchased? I forgot what it was called. Homefront? No. Yeah, Homefront.
Yeah.
And those weren't sold, and they were those weren't sold in the initial auction, and those were basically sold off for a lot cheaper than they really should have been. Honestly, I remember the news that the head of Platinum Games was interested in Darksiders, and I'm like, please, for the love of God, buy it.
That would have been sick.
That would have been amazing. And it just didn't happen. And now who owns it? It's like some like Swedish company or something?
Yeah, well, Nordic Games owns it.
Yeah.
But then Crytek USA, well, I think it's just Crytek Austin is Vigil. So, like, the company still exists as a company, and then the IP still exists as an IP. Now he's got to find a way to put them together.
I don't know. I really want Darksiders 3 to happen. I want, like, all the writers to come together and just, like, wreck shit. It's just that, like, I know at this point it's gonna... Like, I don't think Nordic Games would actually get behind making a full AAA game like THQ did. And something tells me that they're just gonna relegate Darksiders to, I want to say, unfortunately, the mobile market.
Maybe, I don't know. They said they want to
because
sell it to whoever can make it, but they don't have the money to make a AAA title right now. So,
which my question is, if you don't have the money to make a AAA title, why buy a AAA IP in the first place?
Well, they got a bunch of stuff. Like Darksiders is lumped in with like 70 other franchises. All these shitty little franchises that THQ owned. Like the My Cheerleader shit and all that stuff.
Yeah, Nordic Games now also... Don't they also own Destroy All Humans now?
Yeah, that was all... It was all part of the same, like, bundle. They bought this bundle of...
They pretty much... Yeah, they bought everything that was left over except for Homefront, which went to Gearbox. Yeah. Anyways, moving on from THQ, I'm going to talk about a little Square Enix title that I really loved that came out last year. Who here played Sleeping Dogs?
Oh, yes.
Well...
I played it, too.
Oh yeah, I loved it. I thought it was I thought it was a very I don't want to say interesting, and I can't say different, but it was fun. And like, it wasn't innovative, it wasn't unique, but it was just fun. And that makes me like curious, since Sleeping Dogs didn't really sell all that well. What did it sell, like $1.5 million at the most? I mean, I'm just shooting in the dark here because that's the numbers I believe Square Enix posted when they said that they had a financial loss over Sleeping Dogs, Hitman, Tomb Raider, and stuff like that, which I think is bullshit. They didn't lose money. Those games didn't. It's not that like those games didn't make back their money. It's just that Square Enix is horrible at managing money in the first place. But according to the developer of Sleeping Dogs, which is United Front Games, they recently announced that they are working on a new installment for Sleeping Dogs as a whole. As for what this is, or is there any name or whatnot? No, there's nothing. There's no name, but just knowing that there is a new Sleeping Dogs game coming, and they will show off more next year. So my guess is E3 Sleeping Dogs 2 is shown. You rule Hong Kong.
I thought I saw somewhere they were saying like it might be either the title might be along the line of, or the story might be along the line of the Triad Wars.
I mean,
Which in a way is what Sleeping Dogs is, but I guess a continuation of that.
Well, I mean, I'm looking at the story for like Wei Shin, and I'm just not sure how they can continue that, because that kind of wrapped up rather nicely. I mean, if whoever played Sleeping Dogs all the way to the end, am I the only one who did?
No, I'm with you on that. Tommy, did you play?
I've never played it.
Go to the bargain bin and buy it. It's really great. It really is. But yes, new Sleeping Dog coming. I'm happy. Whatever. Now to the console wars. Sony is trying to one-up Microsoft again. Because everybody knows the Microsoft controllers work on your PC. You can take a wired Xbox controller and plug it in your PC, and it works as a third-party controller for Steam games and whatnot. I do it all the time. Well, apparently the DualShock 4 will work on PC by default. I don't know how. I know. I'm just like, I mean, I'm looking at this from a very technical perspective. I'm like, they said by default, and I'm like, well, hold on. For the 360 controller, you had to download like drivers and shit. How will this naturally plug into your PC and completely work? Usually, that's a driver.
Well, I think it's basic functions, anyways. It's not. You won't be able to use the touchpad or anything.
You know, actually, I bet the touchpad will work as a trackpad.
Well, I just don't think it'll work by default.
By default. Yeah, I can see what you mean there. But, I don't know, like, I think that's cool. That gives my PlayStation 4 pre-order a little bit more value. Just a tiny bit more, but still more. Now, speaking of console wars, we're going to talk about Microsoft. And, they're flip-flopping again. So Microsoft can't. There was a rumor that that came out that Microsoft would take recordings from the Kinect and stuff like that and data from it so that they could be sold for advertising purposes. Well, Mr. Pinello, who is his executive at Microsoft, is quoted saying, "First, nobody is working on that. I am not aware of any active work in this space. Second, if something like that ever happened, you can be sure it wouldn't happen without the user having control over it, period." Well, guess what? Microsoft's VP of Marketing contradicted when he said that, when he announced to a room of advertisers that Xbox One will revolutionize advertising through the possibility of making data available for market research. And then earlier this week, Microsoft released another statement on the whole matter. This one, I believe, coming from Youssef Mehdi, that they do not have plans to target ads or content to you based on Kinect data, based on any data that the Kinect collects. I'm so tongue twisted today. I'm sorry, but I'm now really curious. It's like, which is it? This is it's gonna record and share your information. Oh no, it won't. Oh, maybe it might. I mean, I don't know whether I can trust Microsoft with that or not. So thank God that you can actually run the Xbox One without the Kinect plugged in. Now hopefully they could sell it without it. And I'm going to talk about Nintendo now. Why? Because I can.
Alright, go for it.
Yes. Well, who here is actually likes the idea of cross-buying games, to where if you buy a game, it's on multiple platforms?
I like it.
Yeah.
Who, me?
Yeah, everybody should like that. Everybody should like that. Well, one thing that's bothered me is that the games that I bought for my Virtual Console and the Wii won't work on the Wii U. And I also find it odd that why Wii U games such as Wii U Virtual Console games like Earthbound and stuff like that, are only on the Wii U. I really don't get that. So I think cross-buy and cross-support across consoles is a really good thing. I'm surprised more console manufacturers don't do it. Because I think it'd be a good PR move. It would definitely give you kudo points with gamers and consumers. Well, when Nintendo was asked about it, Dan Adelman. All right, that's different. Dan Adelman of Nintendo of America had the following to say: "We don't have anything to announce on that, but I believe that the idea has been talked about. So it's something we're definitely up to considering if there's enough demand from developers, but nothing to announce for right now." What does he mean, demand from developers? Doesn't he mean demand from consumers?
Well, I mean, from a developer-publisher standpoint, it's a functionality that has to put in, so...
I mean, I understand it's a functionality, but... I mean, like, I'm just looking at the Wii U I'm looking at the Wii, Wii U, WiiWare, whatever, where the fact that, like, why can't I have Super Metroid on both my Wii and Wii U? Why can't I just buy it once and have it, and I don't know, like a Steam account where where basically you're not limited to like restrictions on like, oh, you can have it only on this system or whatever.
Yeah, and I mean, like, that's exactly why they can't do that, is because Nintendo screwed up a long time ago when your Nintendo Network ID isn't universal across systems.
Yeah.
So when you buy a game, it's registered to the hardware and not your ID.
Oh, Nintendo. I love you. I love you, Nintendo, but can they just like hire people that work at like Xbox Live and PSN and kind of just fix this whole thing? I mean, seriously. Their entire online infrastructure. It bothers me. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm finding it hard to transition between these stories because none of these are really related. But an interesting one is I like to bring up the idea of well, not the idea, the discussion about Montreal and how many new game studios have been opening over there because the government gives incentives to do so. Tax incentives, and I think it's interesting that more cities don't do this. Actually, if I remember correctly, London raised taxes on game companies, which to me makes no sense whatsoever. But that's the English. I don't understand the English. But Quebec government has announced that they're working with Batman Arkham Origins developer Warner Brothers Montreal with a $63 million grant. The goal is to get 100 new employees. This is interesting because I think it's interesting that the government of Montreal is getting into this, and there's been quite a bit of success with this. And you see governments here in the U.S. Specifically, the one that immediately comes to mind is the government of Rhode Island, when they invested, what was it, like $60 million into Big Huge Games in 38 studios. And that kind of failed horribly. So my question is, why does it work in Canada and it doesn't work here?
I mean, I think 38 was a kind of
it was mismanaged.
The cost to make an MMO, like, I mean, they made a bunch of shit, but they never.
Oh yeah, they did.
The game. You know, I think that's the problem with 38. But I mean, Montreal and Quebec and, you know, even Toronto, Ubisoft's got studios in all those cities, you know.
If I remember, the majority of Ubisoft's developers are in Canada.
Yeah, I mean, they're a French company, so French Canada, I mean, it's
yeah,
interrelated there.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's interesting that the government of Canada is making these steps, and that whenever we tried in the U.S., we seem to pick game companies that aren't very good at managing their money. I don't know. Maybe the Canadian government has a keen eye for developers. I love 38 Studios because I loved Kingdoms of Amalur, but that's just me being with the rose-tinted goggles on, looking at 38 Studios. If I look at it, it was a horribly mismanaged company, due in large part to Kurt Schilling. I mean, this is kind of what happens when you put a baseball player in charge of a game company. A large one at that, too. Anyways, interesting story the other day came out, which was regarding Jak and Daxter. And that was pretty much that people wondering, hey, how come there hasn't been any Jak and Daxter reboot? Especially, we haven't really seen Jak and Daxter this past generation. Now, when they were asked about it, they said that there was an opportunity to reboot Jak and Daxter, but they moved away from it in favor to make The Last of Us. So, fans, take your pick. Do you want Jak and Daxter, or did you want Last of Us?
Last of Us.
Last of Us. I don't own a PS3. I don't own Last of Us, but I have played it at a virtual arena. I plunked down $10 to play for 5 hours, and it was glorious. It was a great game. I can see why people are giving it 10 out of 10s and everything. Though I can't review it because I only played it for 5 hours. So, anyways, but would anybody here be interested in playing another Jak and Daxter? I'm sorry, Jax and Daxter, right? Yeah.
I'd give it a shot. My sisters go nuts over it. So.
Well, I only played the original Jax and Daxter. Let's see. I played Daxter on the PSP, and that was actually a rather solid game. But I don't know. I think we could use another one. I mean, variety is something I support when it comes to AAA games. Jax and Daxter is definitely a different game. But I don't know if I would play it. I really don't. I mean, what about you, Tommy, since you're a Microsoft guy?
I never played it. Never played any of the series of that.
But would you? Would you play Jax and Daxter if there was a new one?
Well, if they rebooted it, yeah, might as well give it a shot.
Oh. I don't know. I would play it. Hold on. I would play it if it caught my attention. If they did something that was really unique and different. And by unique and different, I don't mean turn the thing into a kart racer or whatever the last one was. I mean, well, it was a decent kart racer. It's just that that was not what I expected when I thought of Jak and Daxter.
Well, I mean, the kart racer is where video games go to die. Let's face it. If the franchise gets a kart racer, that's the last thing it'll ever do.
Oh god, that means Sonic is next.
Well,
Sonic is gonna die.
Sonic is like Mario in that he needs to get paid. Especially Sonic. Sonic really needs to get paid.
Oh yeah.
He's broke. They're doing that cartoon, so.
Oh yeah, there's a new Sonic cartoon.
Yeah.
Isn't there?
Knuckles looks super weird.
Yeah, it does. I'm sorry, but it looked like he spent way too much time at the gym.
Yeah.
I'm hoping they make. I envision it now. It's just like there's like a hyper violent Knuckles. Like, hey Knuckles, how you doing? What did you say to me?
He's just all pumped full of HGH and roids.
He's just like when he breathes, he's just like.
Gosh,
I don't know. That sounds like a great Adult Swim cartoon right there. Anyways, now almost to the final story. Almost there. We're almost there. Foxconn. Everybody hates Foxconn, pretty much, because, well, let's face it, they're probably the douchiest company in the world in terms of what they do to their employees. So, Foxconn right now is being... Sony has contracted them to assemble the PS4s. Well, your PlayStation 4 might have been made by slaves. Because Foxconn is using engineering student interns to assemble and make PlayStation 4s. But what's interesting is that they're being forced to work without compensation. And if they stop working, they are threatened with the loss of college credits.
Yeah, it's pretty horrible.
This is why I'm glad I don't live in China. Or that I wasn't born in China. That I'm also... Oh, that I can also play games.
Yeah.
Real games. Has anybody actually seen the fake Xbox that they sell there? It's hilarious. It looks like... The thing looks like a toothbrush case that was poorly put together. That's the best way I can describe it. Final story. I thought I would put this in people doing stupid shit, but I didn't think it was... It wasn't necessarily multiple people doing stupid things. That's the hard thing. But basically, we've all played Pokemon the card game when growing up, right?
Of course.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, everybody loved Pokemon growing up. And so a guy, he's putting up an auction for a rare Pokemon card.
Ooh.
How much? Yeah, so how much do you think this guy is asking for this Pokemon card?
Well, what's the Pokemon card?
The Pokemon card is called the Illustrator card, and it's only one of 6 in existence.
Well, I would ask for a pretty high price if it's only 6 in existence.
And he's charging a premium price for it because it's the highest quality card in existence, holding a grade 9 mint quality, which is very high. So what do you guys think he's asking for it?
What, like $1 million?
No, not that high. Close.
I can't say because I wrote this article. So.
I know. I know. Well, wait a minute. It says Chad wrote this article.
Yeah, Chad. Says a lot of things.
Anyways, he's asking for $100,000
All right.
for a Pokemon card.
Hey,
What's a car? A really nice car for a card.
we were told at a young age that Pokemon cards were going to be worth a lot of money.
It's like I mean, if I had $100,000, I wouldn't be like, do I buy a new Porsche or do I get this Pokemon card?
Pretty much.
Do I buy a house or do I get a Pokemon card?
Yeah, but he's betting on that one dude that has every Pokemon card except this one.
Yeah, most.
And now he'll feel complete. A complete
Now apparently
human.
somebody has offered him about 20 grand. I've checked the eBay auction. Someone put up an offer of 20 grand.
That's what the last one sold for. So that's
Yeah.
why.
Yeah, and he's saying no. I do have to say, it is a damn good looking card. But yes, with it, that is the end of this long ass news desk. And it is time to move on to the middle segment, which is you, Sean, the trainer to the most interesting man in the world. All right, so we have to ask, of course, the basic question. How did you get started at ScrewAttack?
Yes. So, I mean, before I worked at ScrewAttack, I was in graduate school and was writing on my own blog in a private corner of the internet, and I did some work on Bitmob and stuff like that. I got a couple of things up top page for them. But it's really about who you know, and Brian was a tenant of mine at a house I was running in Denton, the house I currently live in now, actually. And so that's how it all came about, because Craig said he wanted to have somebody do news, and Brian knew that I was writing in my free time, and I interviewed, got the job.
Seems like just Brian's the most helpful guy.
But yeah, it's all about who you know.
Actually, what's funny, he was our first guest on Pixels and Bits. Hold on. Adam was our first guest, but I like to think of Brian. Sorry, Adam. And what was funny is like while we were talking to him, he asked me, he's like, "Who would you like to have on the podcast?" And I said jokingly, Tommy Tallarico. 5 minutes later, Andrew, our writer, said, "Hey Corey, it's done." I'm like, "Andrew, what did you do?" And he said, "Oh, I emailed Tommy." And I'm like, I wasn't serious. And literally 5 hours later, we got a reply from Tommy Tallarico saying, yeah, I'll totally come on your podcast. And since then, that kind of changed everything in terms of the Pixels and Bits podcast, because by having Tommy Tallarico, he became kind of our insider a little bit. He got us our interview with David Jaffe and the COO of 2XL Games and stuff like that, and it definitely helped.
That's awesome. Yeah, Tommy's a nice guy. I got to meet him at a VGL event like back in 2013.
I thought you were going to say it was many moons ago.
Yes.
When I was young. Last time I saw Tommy was at VGL, but it was actually I think it was the second tour for VGL back in 2007. This was literally like 2 weeks after Halo 3 came out.
Okay.
So it's been a long time since I've seen VGL. But like I said, Brian. It seems like Brian is kind of a connector.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Tommy, Manny, you guys have questions? Since we're kind of going in order.
Let me think 1 sec.
Anyways, okay, so I'll do the next question. So, how did you come about to be the guy who ran SGC? How did Craig pick you for that?
Well, it's really because I have a Bachelor's of Science in Logistics. Prior to working at ScrewAttack, I used to manage the supply chain for the second largest tape company in the country. So I kind of have a knack for coordinating things, whether it's events or just, stuff around the office.
All right, and honestly, how was your experience? Is that because I could tell that you were stressed quite a bit, but I mean, I assume that you found it fun and rewarding.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, the entire experience is a bit hard to describe. I mean, the lead up to it and everything, yeah, certainly stressful. And I mean, it was the first time I had ever done it. So, I make a lot of mistakes, but learn a lot. And, I think as I go on, I'll continue to build it into kind of a machine, that will run itself in a lot of ways. And I can spend more time, enjoying it, being a part of it. But I mean, it was incredibly humbling. And just, I mean, it's the coolest thing I've ever done. So I don't really outside of, marrying my wife, it will go down as one of the most important events in my life, just because, I mean, how many people can say that they threw a video game party of that magnitude,
I imagine it was a little emotional, because I remember when I was in the main stage room, and everybody was chanting your name when you were on stage.
Yeah, I mean, that moment in particular was, incredibly humbling, just because I've never been the type of person that was necessarily concerned with being famous or internet famous or anything like that. I want to work for something that's bigger than myself, be a part of something that's bigger than myself, and then just help it grow.
I mean, it's definitely a really cool story, and I thank you for SGC, because that was personally one of the greatest experiences of my life. So since you helped organize that, thank you.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
As I said earlier, Manny, Tommy.
Oh jeez, I know you. You have to really focus on my name right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I do have a question for you, Sean. I guess, someone in your position, especially doing a lot of like media liaison kind of work. I guess what is one of your biggest challenges on a day-to-day basis?
Challenges, I guess, like from the perspective of, interacting with the internet and commoners and the community and all of that stuff. I guess the biggest challenge really is you can't make everybody happy.
Right.
Ultimately, there are going to be people who are giving you a hard time for the sake of giving you a hard time, or don't really care to understand your side of the story. And when it comes to those situations, you just kind of have to, take a step back, try and not take it personally, and just keep doing what you do. I mean, I think the best example of that right now is the site. There are things on the site that people don't necessarily like. Like, I know some people aren't really happy with our players sometimes and things like that. And, we try and rise above and keep doing what we do. And we take all that stuff into consideration. But sometimes there's like things that are out of our hands, things that are out of our control. So,
Yeah, for me, what came to mind, especially like recently with SGC, was I remember, I was representing Mission Start Podcast, another group out in California, and we were all excited. We were ready to interview some of these guests, and then unfortunately didn't come to fruition. But I mean, it was a great time. But I can see it was difficult, having to announce a call like that, especially when people may have had certain expectations, especially media-wise.
Right.
Well, Manny, I remember you told me that it's just like, yeah, my boss has told me, it's like, I really need to get Lisa Foyles and Adam Sessler.
Yeah.
And then we were told almost immediately when we got there, yeah, Adam Sessler and Lisa Foyle aren't doing interviews.
But no, it is what it is, and sometimes life throws you curveballs like that. So I just think it's cool though that you were able to handle that and be upfront about it all at one time. But I just think that's a challenge in the job in itself, and I was just kind of curious if there's other venues of your job that you've run into like that.
Yeah, I mean, like in my experience, or just like that people have attended.
I guess just your experience in general, but it sounds like you pretty well answered that question though, so I didn't know if you had anything else to add.
I don't know.
Now, let's see. I wanted to ask you. I like, one of the reasons I like ScrewAttack is you guys have such great chemistry on camera and everything. You guys literally seem like sometimes the bestest of friends. Now, has there? I can assume that it's not. Is it always like that, or is there quite a bit of awkwardness sometimes?
No, I mean, from a cultural standpoint, Craig very much treats the staff and the way he runs his business like we're all family. So that's a lot of what you see there is, how we are on a day-to-day. We're all friends, and, while not all of us can hang out with each other all the time, frequently people will get together outside of work and hang out. But, I mean, what you see as far as the relationships that exist between everybody in the office, I mean, none of that is acted. It's, we're all buddies, and we all cut up and give each other a hard time. I mean, really, I wish we'd capture more of some of the conversations that we have in between the day-to-day, because, I mean, they're just as ridiculous as some of the stuff we say on something like Side Scrollers or Best Ever.
I just had an interesting thought. Why not just strap GoPro cams to everybody's heads and just kind of edit it's like this is the daily life of ScrewAttack.
I mean, we've considered it, but it always comes down to a time versus money thing, and It's just not really. There's not a great way of being able to edit that much content, or at least filter out the good bits from the boring bits, because it's still a job. We still have to work.
See, I would like to do that with the Overshield, but I realize that if we did do something like that, it would just be most of us just staring at computer screens for hours at a day. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they do with us, too. All of us are just in our own little world, either editing content or doing something with the community online or whatnot.
Yeah. Tommy, since you've been silent.
I know I've been silent, but I'm like the worst when it comes to like interview questions because I just.
You're a deer in headlights, as Tommy Tallarico said.
Yes.
Now, let's see. Let's get to the unserious questions. Sean, what is your favorite color?
Probably blue.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I wear a lot of blue. I do it because I have blue eyes, so it's like it makes the eyes pop, but inadvertently that's led to it just being my favorite color by default.
Now, were you really the life trainer for the most interesting man in the world?
No. No, I don't think there is a single thing in that video that is factually accurate except maybe the whiskey part.
What about, so wait, you didn't get your beard at the age of 3?
No. No, in
Oh.
fact, what many people may not know is that I still am unable to grow a full beard to this day.
Really?
Yeah, on the left side of my face, the sideburn has not quite attached to the beard yet.
You know what?
Goatee comes
You guys,
very nicely, so that's why I just rock the goatee instead.
I think the office needs to have a beard growing contest.
Dude,
No, I can't grow one. It'll be patches.
we were teasing Nick the other day saying he just needs to let it go all the way because he practically has a beard. He's been playing so much Grand Theft Auto.
Oh God. Now, what is I want to say, like, since you guys have the whole buddy thing at ScrewAttack, and I know you guys like to do pranks and everything, what is your favorite prank that you've done, and who was it on?
I mean, that's the one that was caught on camera when I nut checked Chad so hard that he couldn't breathe for like 30 minutes during a plan too, because I had heard in the past of what a dumbass holiday it was that Craig invented. But like
Dia de Huevos.
Yeah. And so I get into work at like 7. Most of the office doesn't get until 9, so I got a couple hours to prepare. So I went to a local Walmart and just bought a whole shit ton of red dots. And Lauren got in before Chad or Sam, so she kind of got in on it with me, and we basically put a dot by my desk. And when Chad and Sam came in, I hit Chad in the nuts really hard. So hard so that like 30 minutes later when Craig came in, Chad was still laying on the floor up in the front, and Craig had to like come back and be like, all right, the goal is to hit each other in the nuts.
Not to kill each other.
And it's like, well, how do you hit each other in the nuts kindly? Like, what is... like, I'm not going to like tap his nuts. I'm playing the game right, but obviously we really strayed away from it. I don't know what will happen this year now.
Oh dear God.
Last year we took it pretty easy, honestly.
Really? Pretty easy Dia de
I
Huevos?
don't think anybody got hit in the nuts, which that would be the first
What?
in like 4 or 5 years.
That's the first in the recorded history of mankind.
Did the cactus and played the 90s party challenge and Ace of Base. So I guess we were mostly there in spirit, but...
Well, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I really like the chemistry that you guys have. It's one of the reasons that inspired me to do the Overshield, and I like to keep the very family mentality. Where like even like Manny, like Tommy and Andrew, even though I've technically never met them, since they're all the way in freaking LA, and I'm stuck here. Me and Manny are stuck here in middle of old Missouri,
Cowtown, Missouri.
I feel like that we really are a family. We look out for each other and everything. and we're just kind of good friends, and I really think that's needed. Well, it's something that's lacking in most communities, I think, and companies, and that's why I admire you guys for it. But Tommy, I'm gonna have to go back to you. You got to come up with a damn question.
I don't know anything. All right, what's your favorite game?
Yeah, that's it.
Ooh, yeah, that's like the universal.
Favorite game that isn't Darkstalkers.
Sorry,
Darksiders.
I mean, from this generation, it's definitely the Assassin's Creed franchise for me. Yeah, I've played all of them. I even played the stupid card game on the iPad because I'm a sucker.
There's a card game on the iPad?
Yep. Yep. Don't play it. But I really love that.
Is it like the Final Fantasy card game?
I think they did some really great things, and I did get to play Black Flag at PAX, so
Oh, you lucky bastard!
I'm pretty hyped, pretty excited for that one.
Well, I'm jealous of you just because of the fact you got to go to PAX.
Yes. Although I did get PAX Pox this time.
PAX Pox?
Yeah. I just hardcore flu symptoms for like 2 weeks. But
no,
PAX was a lot of fun. Like, for me, like a lot of people, you know, they're like, oh, you got to go to E3 and that's cool. And it's like, you should totally go to PAX. It's basically the same thing. Like, most of the booths and stuff that are at E3, they just take them to PAX.
Oh yeah.
So.
Well, it's the booths. It's the booths without the boobs.
Well, yeah, they don't even really. I mean, there's a couple companies that still do that, but it's slowly becoming a thing of yesteryear.
So wait, there's not as many booth babes at E3 now?
Nah, man. I mean, like, there's still some, but.
Well, damn, who's Keith gonna hit on in his next E3 video? Oh wait, he's banned.
Yeah, I mean, E3 video for a while. I mean, he still goes, actually. Last year, he went and was doing programming for Square Enix.
Really?
Yeah, he has a friend that works there. But, you know, he'll find something to hit on. Like, he'll go hit on the guy in the Mario outfit that's walking around the floor all weekend.
This is why we love Nathan. So Manny brought up the question of like what would your what it was like for your daily work day and stuff like that. I wanted to ask, what is the most annoying thing that has happened to you at ScrewAttack? What is the one thing that just pissed you off? Because nobody ever sees you mad.
The most annoying thing that's ever happened at ScrewAttack, huh?
Like, what is the one thing that made you want to just get so angry you wanted to choke a puppy or something? Damn, that's dark.
I mean, I guess anytime that people take to social media to, you know, just spread negativity about ScrewAttack or the people that work at ScrewAttack, for the sake of, like, out of spite. You know, like, I know that sometimes Craig can rub people the wrong way and whatnot, but, you know, I guess the one thing I dislike about the video game industry, if I had to pick something, is that there are a lot of creative people, and sometimes they don't always see eye to eye, and it creates just some of the most ridiculous high school drama bullshit I've ever seen.
Marcus Beer and Phil Fish.
Yeah, like, like I don't want to say Marcus is wrong because Marcus is totally entitled to his opinion, but it's also like, clearly Phil Fish is sensitive, so maybe you should have just been like, sorry, you're a little bitch. Then, hey, maybe Phil Fish had a good idea. Maybe he was going to make a cool game, and now he's all like, I don't want to make games anymore, and that kind of sucks. Like, I would hate to think that I would ever say something that would make a person not want to, you know, fulfill that, like, go make a game. Because who knows? They might make an awesome fucking game.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not making games, so.
No, I mean, like I've been to a number of indie booths at conventions and stuff like that, and I've played some bad indie games, but I don't tell them they're bad because I don't want to dishearten the guy, and to the point where he's just like, I don't want to make games anymore. You know, that guy might make the next Fez or something. So I support indie games and indie developers to their fullest because I like to see what their potential is in the future, even if like the thing that they're working on right now may not be the best.
Yeah, I mean, from a preview perspective, especially, I try and give everybody the benefit of the doubt. You know, in reviews, it's different. You have to be objective because that's your responsibility as a reviewer, you know. But yeah, I mean, I like to think that most people have best intentions, best laid plans.
No.
They're not Zynga.
All right. Tommy, if you don't come up with anything else, we're going to end this interview.
Yeah, I suck. I can't. I'm sorry.
Shame on you, Tommy. Shame.
I'm just the video editor and everything else.
You're a co-host, damn it. You've been my co-host for a year and a half.
That's true.
Anyways, I think this concludes the interview. I would say it was definitely an interesting conversation. Definitely one of the more interesting interviews we had. So thank you, Sean.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely, no problem. Thank you guys for having me on.
All right, so let's move on to Tommy's segment. Because Tommy has his own segment.
Okay.
We have to.
Well,
Yeah. So let's move on to. I'm sorry, Sean. I have to rip off Craig. My favorite segment, your favorite segment, everybody in the world's favorite segment. It is time for people doing stupid shit. Hit the music.
Bow, 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 bow,
So
We're getting beatboxing in this shit.
yes. All right. So if you guys have an excuse as to why you are in a high-speed chase, what would that excuse be?
Mac attack. Gotta
wait,
get your
Mac attack?
Yeah, gotta get your Big Mac, dude.
No. For me, it would be like, I don't know, I was chasing somebody. I wouldn't be running away from somebody.
I'm pregnant.
Perfect.
Anyways, a man from Utah blames that he has to go to a bathroom emergency, which is the reason why he was driving 111 miles per hour. The 39-year-old Jeffrey told the judge on Monday that he ate something that upset his stomach and was racing to get to the rest area in Logan Canyon. While the judge pointed out that while he was driving at high speeds, he passed several outhouses while he led the Utah Highway Patrol trooper on a chase. So, and the judge also said that this is the worst excuse he has ever heard.
I don't know. I think it's a pretty damn good excuse.
Yeah, but you pass like several bathroom opportunities. So I mean,
I'm not gonna shit in a box on the ground.
it's either in the shit in the box or shit in your car, dude.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when you have the hit,
Yeah, true. When desperate times call for desperate measures.
Exactly.
tell anybody that I shat in the box. Holy shit in the box.
Actually, a better excuse is if he just shat his pants anyway and just told the judge, "Yeah, I had to run home and change my pants. It was important."
That would be more believable. I think they would show some
Exactly.
pity. But I mean, anyways, this person only got like a 7-day, jail time. So
Hey, that's 7 days in the slammer, man. That's 7 days you could drop the soap.
all right, okay. So moving on. Of course, this takes place in Florida, but I'm not gonna sing it.
Oh dear, no, we're not singing the song.
Anyways, would you ever refuse sex from your woman if she's off? Like, let's have sex. Would you ever say no to her?
Yes, if she was stupidly drunk.
That or if it was the time of the month, dude.
But anyways, Corey, you're actually right on this one. I flew. Yeah. Yeah. She came home drunk at 4 a.m. and wanted her boyfriend to have sex with her. He refused because it's 4 a.m. and he's pretty tired. But she didn't take the news very well, and so she decided to stab her boyfriend in the eye.
Shit.
Oh.
Jeez. With what?
No.
Let's see. I don't think it says anything in here. She was with another woman at the time, saying it's like I guess she wanted to do a threesome. Oh, the funniest thing is her name.
What's her name?
La Crystal Keen Wolfork.
What?
Damn.
What? This sounds like a name for like an MMO character. La Crystal Wolfork?
Anyways, okay, yeah, she stabbed him with a knife, in the eye, and then in the
It
shoulder.
would have been great if she stabbed him with a fork.
Ah, nah.
Boon.
Yeah, so of course now she is facing charges, and of
Damn
course,
right.
crazy women, man.
Bitches be crazy.
So,
Final Tommy.
all right. So for my final story, you want to go to a party, but your significant other would tell you no. So you have to think of an excuse to go to that party. What would that excuse be for you guys?
Yeah, excuse me, I gotta go to John. Be right back in a couple hours.
No, isn't it an excuse to like bring your significant other to the party or to avoid it?
No, to avoid her. She's against the party, so she won't even go with you.
This is easy for you, Manny.
Oh god, I don't know.
What Manny would do is he would lock himself in his room saying that he was playing Final Fantasy 14, then he would sneak out the window.
Yeah. I'm going to Corey's. How about that?
That would actually be a very good excuse,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
And then that way I'm not lying to her, so it's cool.
I mean, I can't say I could go to Manny's, but... since you claim to have a wacky family.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, so what happened?
Well, this man decided to fake his own kidnapping.
God.
Wow. Sounds like a lot of work.
Genius!
Yes, the 34-year-old man, Texas man, allegedly staged his own kidnapping last Tuesday around 10:30 p.m. He had his buddies wearing masks and toy guns break into the home while his wife was there and take him at gunpoint.
Damn.
The frantic woman called the authorities, who fanned out across the neighborhood to look for her husband. The police grew suspicious when they couldn't find any leads, and even more so when the man turned up. He, yeah.
Of course!
Yeah, it's like, here I am, guys.
Hey, wait a minute, aren't you supposed to be missing?
He told his wife that his kidnappers showed mercy and set him free. But he later
Hey
on...
guys, we totally just went through the trouble of kidnapping this guy. You know, let's just let him go.
But he ended up confessing to her that it was a lie and that he faked it just to go out on the town with his buddies. And, of course, that he was afraid of his wife.
Okay.
I'm just gonna say, if you're that afraid of your wife, you have some marriage issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, obviously know who...
I mean, Sean, would your wife tell you? Are you afraid of her?
Well, every man is afraid of his wife, or he is an idiot.
Are you that afraid?
But no. I mean, like, as far as going to parties and like interacting with friends and stuff like that, like, neither of us would care enough for that to be an issue. Like, it would just be like, go have fun. I'll see you tonight, or, you know, vice versa.
Whatever. Yeah. And that is the end of people doing stupid shit. And it's time to move on to the final segment, which is shoutouts. I shall go first, and my shoutout is, of course, to you, Mr. Sean Hinz, for gracing us with your presence and coming on to our podcast and everything. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, man, it's cool.
And putting up with some of our pretty awkward conversations.
Okay.
This is not our best day. I can sadly say.
And I appreciate you guys having me, and I had a really good time. So the pleasure is all mine.
Right on.
So, who wants to go next?
Sure. Unless you mind, Tommy.
No, go right ahead, Manny.
Yeah, actually, my shout out this week goes to the creators of the program TeamSpeak. Good God, I don't know where I'd be in online gaming without it, especially with Final Fantasy XIV. I mean, the creators purposely chose not to put an in-game like voice chat, and being that you have both PC and PS3 players on the same servers, it's kind of an obstacle in itself. So, thank you, TeamSpeak.
I actually owned a TeamSpeak server a long time ago, when back during Vanilla WoW. Actually, my parents paid for it because I was 14, but still, TeamSpeak was like the lifeblood of World of Warcraft raids. If you didn't have TeamSpeak, you couldn't do a raid properly.
Oh yeah, are you kidding?
There's no way to There's no way to organize a 40-man raid through text. It's impossible. So, yeah, TeamSpeak is a good one, Manny.
Oh yeah.
Tommy?
Yes, my shout out will go to pretty much the fans of the Overshield, but more so from the Happy Wars community. I still get messages from them saying, hey, I loved your videos, be my friend, and then I just had to say, it's like, oh, thank you so much, and it's like, oh, let's play a game. I would play games with them. It's fun to just hear the fans. I mean, we got fans from the UK, from South America. It's pretty cool. Like, when you get to interact with them and play games, it's really fun. And,
go ahead, Tommy. I'm sorry.
yeah, and they're asking, it's like, okay, when will there be another community game night? I don't know yet. School has been very hectic right now. The midterms are over right now, but there's still a lot of schoolwork and this, which is also tough. But I'm hoping for fall break. I'll do the next one, but yeah, I mean, I just wanted to give a shout out to the fans who support us. That's good.
Yeah, since Happy War videos make up a third of our views.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't know how that happened.
Not many people were doing it. I saw it.
Actually, I didn't. If I remember correctly, you never asked me to put up the Happy Wars videos, and you did anyway. And somehow those just got so popular.
Because I knew it would, Corey.
Yes.
Yes.
Tommy has great foresight. Anyways, Sean, you have the last shout out.
Yeah, I guess I just, I'd give a shout out to ScrewAttack, the whole crew, everybody for, giving me this opportunity and, being my buddies. So I appreciate it, and that's why I'm here on this podcast today.
Oh, question. I should have asked you this during the interview, but question: when's are you guys planning to do another food challenge, and will you participate?
I mean, there are always discussions of food challenges. I would like to remind the community that Sam and Lauren are still supposed to eat their Hot Pockets and not so Hot Pockets food challenge. But no, I did the chicken nugget eating contest back when I had something to prove, and the only way I would ever do another food challenge is if it was chicken wings. I can eat a lot of chicken wings. So
next ScrewAttack challenge it's like the CC's Pizza Challenge but with wings.
I mean, I would be okay with that, but I don't see that happening anytime soon necessarily. So who knows? But I think everybody should remind Sam and Lauren that they have Hot Pockets to eat.
All right. And that brings a conclusion to this long episode. This is actually one of the longer episodes we've done.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this is literally the longest episode we've done since the first episode of Pixels and Bits, almost 2 years ago. So, once again, thank you, Sean, for coming on, and that is episode 49 of Pixels and Bits. Join us next week for episode 50, where we will read excerpts of Taken by the T-Rex. It's going to be raunchy. Anyways, I am Corey.
And I'm Tommy.
And I'm Manny.
And I'm Sean.
And I will see you all next week, folks. Later.
Goodbye.
See ya.